Let's start. English for Professionals, lecture number 7. Most commonly misused words in business. Okay, so this is basically the beginning of the end. I have built for you guys in the past 6 lectures a very, very solid basis in the English language, okay? So in the upcoming lectures, I'm not going to try to teach you English grammar anymore. Instead, we're going to be talking about business environments, how to write a CV, how to write a resume, how to write a letter, things like that. Because at this point, you guys know your grammar well enough that we don't need to discuss the simple stuff anymore, and we can move on directly into the hard stuff, okay? So what we're going to be doing is more of learning how to use all the basics that you've learned over the past 6 lectures. Alright? In this lecture, you're going to be learning about the words that are most commonly misused in the English language, okay? These words are used by everybody, and people get them mixed up or wrong or use them wrong, and you're going to learn how to not do that. These are the most commonly misused words in the English language. Farther and further, all the way down to except and except. I know it's a lot of words, however, I promise you, if you learn these words now, you might even be correcting your bosses in the future, okay? So let's get started. Farther and further. The difference here is distance, okay? Farther is a distance. When my shoe is farther from my bed than I am, it's a distance. Further means that something has to be discussed, okay? So farther is distance and further is discussion. Complement and complement. These are both pronounced exactly the same way. However, one is written with an E and one is written with an I. Complement with an E is something that goes well with another thing. Just like honey might go well with bread, and just like black might go well with blue, they complement each other. Okay? However, compliment with an I is something nice you say to someone. When someone is nice looking, you tell them, hey, you look nice today. That's a compliment. When somebody is very smart, you tell them, hey, you're really smart. That's a compliment with an I. Affect and effect. These are two very different words that people very, very commonly get mixed up. Okay? Affect is when something is directly changed or is directly affected by something else, okay? So if I were to draw a picture on a board, I would have affected the board. My drawing a picture directly changed the board. However, my drawing a picture could also be an effect with an E. Effect with an E means that it was caused by something, okay? So affect is a change, and effect is caused by something. So why did I draw that picture on the board? My teacher told me to. My teacher was the cause, and the drawing was the effect. Effect with an E, okay? Then you have 2, 2, and 2. These are a little bit complicated, and we're going to come back to these later, as well as the next ones, which are there, there, and there. Next you have than and then. Than is something that you would rather do over something else. And then is when you would do something and then do something else. Okay? I know that's a little bit confusing, but stick with me here. Than is when you would choose to do one thing over another. I would rather eat cake than I would eat pizza. That means that I would rather eat cake than pizza. I would rather go to my friend's house than school. That means that I would choose to be at my friend's house and not at school. I would rather do anything over another thing. That's the point of than. Then, with an E, is telling you that one thing happened and then another thing happened. I went to school and then my friend's house. That means that I went to school and then I went to my friend's house. One thing happened after another. Okay? Next you have your and your. They're both pronounced the same way, however they mean two different things. Your is ownership. Your book bag, your cat, your computer. And your with an apostrophe is when you are something. You are nice, you are bad, you are my boss, you are my employee. You are something. Whose and whose, okay? This is kind of like your and your. Whose is ownership. Whose bag is this? Whose blanket is this? Whatever. Whose is ownership. Whose with an apostrophe S is a shortening of the word who is or who has, right? So you can say who is hungry? Who's hungry? Who's already eaten? It's the same thing. You're just shortening who is or who has, okay? Next we have it's and it is. They're both pronounced the same way, it's. However, it's with no apostrophe means that something belongs to someone else. It's bag. It's car. It's is a word that implies ownership. It's with an apostrophe is short for it is. It's the same concept as your and their and whose, all with apostrophes, okay? Next we have of and have. People consistently get these mixed up and they mean two very, very different things, but they sound very similar. So there are two differences. The first is the spelling and the second is the meaning. Obviously they look very different. Of, O-F, means that something is from something else. Have is another word for ownership, okay? Loose and lose. These are used so often by people and they don't even mean the same thing or even come close to resembling each other, but people consistently get them mixed up. Loose means the opposite of tight and lose means the opposite of win. That should make things much easier. Lose, you can easily represent these by saying in your mind something along the lines of ownership versus the opposite of tight, okay? So think about it like this. The company loses money. The company does not lose money. Loose is the opposite of tight. Lose with only one O is what happens when something is lost. That's the word that it is descended from. Principle and principle are not very commonly misused, however, you do use them sometimes. A principal, you can see with an A, is your pal, right? That's the easy way to think of it. Principal is the person in charge of a school. The second principle, with an E, is a rule or a guideline that you follow. The last ones, accept and accept, mean two very different things. Accept means to agree to something. Accept with an E means everything except something, okay? So, I accept the terms and agreements. We've all done that. The next one, accept, I agree to all the terms and conditions except this one. Accept with an E means everything except one. Accept with an A means that you agree to something. These are the most commonly misused words in business. Login versus login, site versus site, complementary versus complementary, advise versus advice, everyday versus everyday. So the first one, login versus login. The first login is a noun. This is what you do when you sign into your email. You log in with no space, okay? The second one is a verb, right? So log in is the action that you do. So when your company sends out an email saying that your logins have changed, it's the first one without any space because that's a noun. The second one, log in with a space, is what you do when you're signing up for Facebook. Second one, site versus site. Site is a place or a location. Site with a C is how you signify that something came from somewhere else. Complementary versus complementary. This is similar to complement versus complement back in the other page. Complementary means free. Complementary means that something was nice. Complementary with an E means that the thing that you obtained was free. Complementary with an I is telling you that something was very nice with something else. Advise versus advice. Advise here means that you were giving advice to someone else. Advice with a C is good or helpful information. Advise is a verb, advice is a noun. Okay? Last one, everyday with no space versus everyday with a space. Everyday is something that you mean to say something is commonplace. Something happens all the time. The second one, every day, means that something happens literally every single day. Here's some others. People misuse a lot. A lot has a space in it. If you put A and L together with no space, that means that the word is wrong. All right also has a space between all and right. Me, myself, and I. You guys often get these mixed up, especially when I'm reading your comments. You have no idea how to use me, myself, and I. To find out if you should be using me or I, ask yourself if it sounds correct when you move the other noun or pronoun, okay? So here's an example. Kash and me went to college together. So if I take Kash out, I'm left with me went to college together. That doesn't make any sense, which means you should use I. I went to college, right? Kash and I went to college together. That makes much more sense. Myself is what we call a reflexive noun. You don't have to remember that. It's just important to know that the only time you use it is if you are the verb of an object and you are also the subject of the sentence. I see myself in the mirror. I see. I is the subject. See is the verb. Myself is the object. I see. What do you see? Myself in the mirror. That is the only time that you're allowed to use myself. To, and to. I told you we would be coming back to this. To is a word that tells you exactly what action is being performed on what object. I'm writing a letter to him, right? I'm giving him a letter from me. That is what to represents. That I performed an action on something else. To, with two O's, is a word that can be used in place of also. I, too, would like a sandwich is the same as I also would like a sandwich. To is the same as also. To is a whole number, and please don't ever confuse to with a W and to with anything else. There, and there. There tells you the location of a place. The easy way to test this is to know if you're talking about a location, you use there. If somebody owns something, it is theirs with an I, and if somebody is something, you use they are with an apostrophe, okay? My house is over there, location, by their car, ownership. They are my neighbors. They're my neighbors, right? They're all pronounced the same way, but they all mean different things. It's all a matter of looking at what the sentence is doing. Alright, thanks, good luck. I know this lecture was a little bit boring, but it's important to know these words because good grammar will always get you far. Alright, I'll see you guys later.